Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic.
What if Naruto fell in love with Ino after losing Sakura and returned to Konoha as a powerful sage? Part 1. The Fourth Shinobi War. The war that finally brought peace to the ninja world. A lot of lives were lost in the war. Many friends, brothers, sisters were lost in the conflict. But they died knowing they are trying to make a difference. And they did make a difference. The war was won. Tobi was killed by the hands of Uzumaki Naruto and Killer Bee, the last two Jinchuriki still alive. They teamed up with their tenants and used all of their power to end his terror. On the other side of the battlefield fought the 5 Kages against the newly revived Uchiha Madara. The battle was long and taxing. Madara earned his right to be called one of the strongest ninja to have ever existed in the world alongside first Hokage. But even he couldn't stand up to the 5 Kages. The battle lasted for several hours, but in the end he was defeated and sealed forever in Gaara's sand fortress. Kabuto was defeated by the Uchiha brothers, Itachi and Sasuke. His goal finished, Itachi returned to the land of the dead. He gave Sasuke one final advice, to stop his quest of revenge and return to his friends and brother. Sasuke told him that that won't happen and that he will have revenge upon Konoha. He will stifle their laughter and kill them all. But first he will crush their hope, their hero, Uzumaki Naruto. On his way to face Naruto, he was confronted by his old comrades, the Rookie 11. They tried to stop him and convince him to return to Konoha. He refused and just laughed maniacally, saying, "Do you really think I could ever return to Konoha and live happily ever after with you all? The only reason I will return to that weak village is to destroy every single villager, every single ninja, every building till there is nothing left but dust." They all saw him for what he really was, all except Sakura. She still hoped that there is some light in him. She tried to persuade him, to make him see reason. She even told him that she loved him and that she would do anything for him. Sasuke's only answer was to draw his sword and activate his Sharingan. Shikamaru took charge and started ordering his friends to take battle formations. He knew they stood little chance against him without Naruto. But even though chances of victory were next to none, he will give it his all, to protect his friends, his family, to protect Naruto, the village pariah who saved them all. The battle that ensued was epic. But even though Sasuke was outnumbered, he was still holding his ground and was fighting back. Shikamaru in a desperate move ordered his friends to attack him at the same time while Sakura attacks him from behind and uses her strength to penetrate through his Susanoo. The plan worked flawlessly till the last moment. Sasuke was focused trying to give Susanoo enough power to withstand their attack. He was too focused to notice Sakura moving behind him and gathering all of her chakra in her fist to end his life or at least cripple him. It all went downhill from there. Sakura stopped inches from hitting him. She just couldn't do it. Images of young Sasuke flashed before her eyes, all the moments they spent together with Team 7, all the laughter, sadness, all the battles they've won together. "I'm sorry, Naruto. I just can't do it," thought Sakura. At that moment Sasuke noticed her and turned around and used Susanoo to try and stab her. He looked in her eyes and saw her smiling. It was a peaceful smile. She knew what was coming. Shikamaru and others tried to warn her and all started running towards her hoping they would make it. Fate was not on their side that day. The sword from Susanoo struck Sakura through her stomach. There was no sound heard from her. She had a peaceful expression on her face and you could see a lone tear escaping from her eye. Sasuke was unaffected by this and with a flick from his wrist threw her towards her friends. She was caught by Ino, who was already crying while cradling her pale and cold body. She hopelessly tried to heal here. She used all of her chakra trying to save her. She looked into Sakura's eyes and saw that this is one battle that she won't emerge victorious. Ino felt so hopeless at that moment, exactly when her sensei, Asuma, died. She couldn't do anything. The tears just wouldn't stop coming. The remaining rookies all formed a defensive circle around Sakura and Ino, all staring at Sasuke with all the hate they could muster. Sasuke just stood there impassively, acting like this is an everyday thing for him, killing his friends. Do you still wish to fight me? My goal is Naruto and not you weaklings. You cannot hope to win against my hatred. You don't know pain like I do. You live your perfect lives, with your families and lovers, laughing all because of my family's sacrifice. Sasuke said, "Shut up, you maniac. You have no right to judge us. We were not responsible for the massacre. We were kids back then. How could we be responsible for what happened to your family?" shouted an enraged Kiba. "Kiba's right," intervened Sai. "You cannot blame the actions of your brother on the whole village and us. What happened to your family was because of your brother and no one else." "Shut up," said a shaking Sasuke. "You know nothing of what you speak of. My brother was a true ninja, a hero. He made the ultimate sacrifice. And for what? Just so that all of you could continue living in your fairy tales." Shikamaru saw that talking to him was pointless now. He was too far gone. Nothing could save him now, not even Naruto. Right now the most important thing is to save Sakura. Every single second counts, thought Shikamaru. He turned towards Sakura and Ino and saw his longtime friend crying over Sakura's. Didn't know if this meant that she is already dead or something else. While he was concentrating on Ino and Sakura, Sasuke once again activated his absolute defense and attack, Susanoo. It all happened too fast for the rookies to react. The ethereal being fired multiple arrows towards them. They couldn't do anything. Ino was too engrossed in trying to heal Sakura to even notice the danger coming upon her. There is nothing they could do. Any technique they could use to prevent the arrow from hitting took too long to activate. Shikamaru closed his eyes and smiled to himself. So this is it, huh? Dying at the hands of my one-time friend. What a troublesome way to go, thought a smiling Shikamaru. Sasuke could see fear in their eyes and took pleasure in that. "This is the end for you," said Sasuke. Then something happened. The earth started to shake, the trees were shaking. In a split second, a yellow blur shot forward and deflected all of the arrows. Sasuke's eyes widened. Such speed. Who or what was that? Naruto. Impossible. No one could be that fast, not even him, said a surprised Sasuke. When the dust settled, you could see a lone figure standing before the rookies. His blue eyes slitted like a fox. He was covered in yellow chakra and had weird black markings all over his body. What power? What chakra? What is this? How did he get this strong? Is this the power of Kyuubi? Thought Sasuke. Hello Sasuke, said Naruto. His shroud receded. He was breathing heavily. I'm still weak from that fight with Tobi, thought Naruto. His friends breathed in, were saved. About time you arrived, smiled sadly Neji. Naruto turned around and gave them all a reassuring smile. Shikamaru gestured towards Sakura. When Naruto turned his sight towards Sakura, his heart broke. There she was, his love, all covered in blood and barely holding on. Naruto narrowed his gaze towards Sasuke. If looks could kill, Sasuke right then and there would surely die 1,000 times over. How low you have fallen Sasuke, said Naruto in a sad but firm voice. She was in the way. She brought this upon herself, said Sasuke smugly. I can't fight him right now. I'm exhausted and I can't fight and keep them safe at the same time, thought Naruto to himself. He turned towards his friends. They were all tired and hurt. They could barely stand, let alone put up a fight against Sasuke. He made his decision. Sasuke, leave, this is not the time and place for us to have our fight. Not yet. said Naruto, surprising everyone present except Sasuke and Shikamaru and Ino, who was still oblivious to the outside world. In 1 week, Naruto, in 1 week we fight. Meet me where it all started, said Sasuke while disappearing into the ground. Naruto lowered his guard and turned around to face his friends. They were happy to see him, alive and unharmed. Naruto gave them a small sad smile in return. He started moving towards Sakura. He was a few inches away from her. She was so small in his eyes, so weak, fragile. Sakura-chan, he whispered. He got on his knees and took hold of her hand. This woke Ino. She looked up at him. Naruto, said a crying Ino. She couldn't finish that sentence. She wouldn't. This can't be happening, she thought to herself. Why her? It isn't fair. It's okay, Ino, whispered Sakura. It's okay. My time has come, croaked out Sakura. Ino's tears just wouldn't stop falling. Her best friend was dying in her arms and there was nothing she could do. Sakura-chan, whispered sadly Naruto. She turned towards him and gave him a small smile. Hey Baka, smiled Sakura. Naruto laughed sadly. I screwed up again, huh? I'm still a burden to you and everyone, said Sakura. Don't say that, Sakura. You were never a burden to me or everyone else. You are going to be all right, so please stop talking and let's get you some help, said an exhausted Naruto. No, this is as far as I go. My journey ends here, said Sakura. She started coughing after that and spat a small amount of blood. Everyone tensed seeing this. They all knew it. This were Sakura's final words. Ino took hold of her hand and squeezed tightly, showing her support and telling her she is there for her. Sakura recovered from her coughing fit and turned towards Ino. My best friend, rival. You were always there for me when I needed help. You were there for me when Sasuke left. You let me cry on your shoulders even though you were equally hurt by his departure. But you stayed strong for my sake. I thank you for everything you've done for me. You were the best friend anybody could hope to have in their life. I want you to find a man who is going to appreciate you for who you are and love you no matter what. Promise me that, Ino, said a now smiling Sakura. Ino didn't respond. She just squeezed her hand even more tightly and gave her a forced smile. That was all Sakura needed. No words were needed to be spoken. She turned her head towards Naruto, who has started crying. Naruto. He looked at her. I'm sorry. I was never a good friend to you. You were always there for me, in bad and good. You were the pillar that kept me going. You gave me hope of seeing Sasuke again. My only regret is that I couldn't return my love towards you. For that I am sorry, said Sakura. It's okay, Sakura-chan. I don't care anymore. As long as you were happy, that was enough for me, cried Naruto. Sakura smiled. Thank you, Naruto. I hope you find happiness in life. You deserve it more than anyone. Sakura turned her gaze towards the sky. It started to rain during their conversation. She could feel her strength leaving. It won't be long now. My dear friends, this is where we part way. This is my final wish to all of you. I want you all to get a family, have kids and live a peaceful life. I also want you to look after the Baka here. God knows he needs a good once in a while. Everyone laughed at her joke. She smiled serenely and closed her eyes. She took one last breath and whispered just loud enough so that everyone could hear her. Goodbye, said a smiling Sakura. With that her body went limp. Ino started crying even more and embraced her body, not letting her go. Naruto lowered his head and cried silently. Everyone bowed their heads, all crying, mourning for their lost friend, comrade, family. They stayed like this for an hour. Later on they returned to the base, Naruto carrying Sakura bridal style, Ino right beside him, holding Sakura's hand, while everyone else formed a circle around them. When they arrived at the camp, Tsunade and other cages were already waiting for them. When Tsunade saw Sakura's body, she nodded solemnly towards the group and led them to a secluded tent. Ninjas of all villages bowed their heads and showed their respect for the fallen ninja. They laid their body inside the tent and stayed with her through the night, saying goodbye for the last time. In the morning she was given a proper burial, while all of the army stood there and mourned for her and all of the friends they lost. The rookies were there, giving each other support and shoulders to cry on. Naruto looked at his friends and saw what hate can do to people. He swore on his blood, on his father and mother, on his godfather, that he will end this once and for all. He turned around and started walking towards his tent to gather his equipment. Ino looked at his retreating back. "Good luck," she whispered. She turned back and watched the fire. When the burial ended, the cages proposed a celebration for all the men and women who lost their lives defending their families and friends. Everyone attended except Naruto. He was already moving towards his destiny. The rookies and Tsunade knew this and let him go. There was nothing they could do except believe in Naruto, the child of prophecy. A week passed. The day of the battle has arrived. Sasuke and Naruto stood opposite each other just like 3 years ago. Both hardened warrior, legends of their own right. This was it. Everything would be decided here. They clashed. The battle that ensued could be felt all around the world. The battle lasted for several hours. The victor was unknown. All of the rookies and their senseis and the Ichiraku couple stood by the gate of Konoha waiting for the return of their hero. They stood there, not moving an inch for 2 days. 2 days later a figure could be seen moving towards the gate of Konoha. The figure was walking slowly, without a care in the world, a smile plastered on his face. His hair ruffling in the wind, his blue eyes shining peacefully. His shirt was torn, his pants were barely holding on, but despite everything he still walked towards Konoha, smiling all the way. When his friends saw him, they all ran towards him and tackled him on the ground, crying tears of happiness. He did it. He finally did it. Despite all odds he emerged victorious, just like always in his life. He rose from a boy who tried to survive on the streets to a man who brought peace to elemental nations. They all laughed, finally free, with no worries. Tsunade approached Naruto. His friends let him go. Tsunade smiled at him and gave him a bone-crushing hug. She let him go after a few minutes and gave him a kiss on the forehead and said, "Good job, Gaki." The rookies smiled at this show of affection. They all knew their Hokage saw Naruto as her son. They were family. They all were. A family of ninjas. They will stick by each other, forever, no matter what. Kakashi gave him his patented eye smile. Guy shouted something about youth. Kurenai, who was just about to pop, gave him the biggest smile she could muster while rubbing her stomach. Shikamaru decided to speak up and ask the question that plagued everybody's minds. "Naruto, what happened?" Naruto's smile turned into a sad one and answered, "If you all don't mind, I would rather not talk about it right now." They all understood. Even though he was lost in darkness, Sasuke was still his brother. The man who acknowledged him and became his rival in life. They couldn't imagine how painful it must have been, fighting against him knowing one of them would die. They nodded in understanding. He would tell them when he is ready. At that moment Choji's stomach grumbled, easing the tension that formed. They all started laughing, while Choji just scratched his head in embarrassment. Tsunade proposed a feast to welcome the return of hero of Konoha. They all agreed while Tsunade went to inform the village of Naruto's return. The rookies decided to catch up and went to a nearby training ground. Kakashi offered to escort Kurenai to the hospital for her checkup. She agreed and they went on their way. Guy decided to join them and was shouting youth all the way to the hospital, much to the irritation of Kakashi and Kurenai. In the evening the whole village celebrated Naruto's return. Tsunade announced that this day will be a national holiday, for this is the day that Uzumaki Naruto brought peace to the world. The villagers and ninjas all agreed and gave a toast to their savior. Naruto was smiling the whole time. His wish was finally granted. He was acknowledged by everyone. He was no longer the demon child but a ninja of Konoha. Present time, 2 years later. We can see a figure kneeling in front of the memorial was wearing the standard Junin flak jacket, black Anbu pants. He had a black headband tied around his forehead. He also wore a red cloak over his figure with black flames decorating the bottom of the cloak. There was some writing written on the cloak. It said, Sage. His hands were tracing over certain names. Father, Mother, Ero Sennin and Sakura, whispered the figure to himself. I miss you all. I wish you could be here with me. The figure smiled. At the same time someone else was walking towards the memorial stone, with a bouquet in her hands. She wore a purple top and a purple skirt that went down to her thighs. She had her headband tied around her neck. That person was Yamanaka Ino. She was smiling while walking towards the memorial stone. When she got there she saw a figure there kneeling. She didn't know who the person was. She wasn't anyone that she recognized from the village. All she saw was a red cloak and an inscription that said, Sage. No, it can't be him. Is that Naruto? Thought Ino. She started walking towards the unknown man. The figure noticed her and turned around. Ino lost her breath. The man was definitely handsome. He had wild blonde hair, blue eyes, tan skin and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Wait, whiskers. Naruto, yelled Ino. She ran towards him and enveloped him in a hug. The figure, Naruto, was a bit startled and surprised at first but composed himself and returned the hug. Ino was laughing into his chest and crying tears of joy. Her friend was finally back. After 2 years he finally came back. She realized she was still hugging him and started blushing a bit and moved away from him. She hit him over the head yelling, Baka, where were you? You left without saying goodbye to us. Nobody knew where you went. Naruto picked himself up from the ground and started scratching his head and laughed sheepishly. Sorry about that. It was kinda on short notice. I was training with the toads. I needed to complete my training just like Ero Sennin did. Ino's anger subsided a bit. You could have at least sent us a message or something. We were worried about you, idiot. Said now a bit more calm Ino. I guess I lost track of time. Sorry, said Naruto while giving her his foxy grin. Ino let out a breath. Who could stay mad while looking at that big goofy grin of his? Once a baka always a baka, said a smiling Ino. Hey, that hurt, said Naruto while pouting. Ino just laughed at his expression. Naruto joined her after a few seconds. They laughed for a few moments, just enjoying each other's company. After the laughter died down Naruto asked her, Who are you here for? Asuma-sensei and Sakura. I come by here every month to bring fresh flowers for them. Naruto nodded and made his way over to her and stood by and waited so that she finished praying. She stood after a few minutes. I can't believe 2 years have already passed. It all seems like it happened yesterday, said Ino solemnly. Naruto nodded and they just watched the stone in silence for a few moments. Ino finally perked up and said, All right, that's enough of the depressing stuff, it's time for some fun. You, mister, are going to take me out for lunch and you are going to pay. Got it, said Ino in a tone that said she won't take no for an answer. Naruto smiled. Still as bossy as ever, huh Ino? That's right and you are still an idiot, responded a smiling Ino. Hee. All right, where do you want to go? Asked Naruto. Ichiraku, shouted Ino. Naruto was surprised by her answer. He didn't know she liked ramen. Since when do you like ramen? Asked a confused Naruto. Since you left. I can see why you enjoyed going there every day. The ramen is great, The stand has this homey feeling, and the owners are the nicest people I know," responded Ino. Naruto smiled at her, a true happy smile. "Ino liking ramen, I've seen it all now." "Ha ha," laughed Naruto. Ino playfully smacked his arm and pouted. "Sorry, I couldn't help myself," responded a grinning Naruto. "All right, Ichiraku it is." "Hold on Ino. This might feel a bit weird," said Naruto. Ino didn't have time to ponder on his word. She was suddenly embraced by him and they flashed away a second later. When she opened her eyes she was in front of the Ichiraku stand. She didn't even realize she was still holding on to Naruto, who was smiling down at her. When she woke up from her stupor she looked at him and saw a pair of blue orbs staring down at her. "I could lose myself in those eyes," thought Ino, who was blushing while looking up at him. Naruto saw this and smirked. Ino shook her head and turned her head away trying to hide her blush but to no avail. Naruto was smirking the entire time. Ino turned back and shouted, "What? You were blushing? Like what you see Ino?" teased Naruto. Ino's response was to blush even more, but she recovered quickly and hit him over the head while yelling, "Baka." She walked towards the stand while Naruto was trying to make sense of his surroundings. She sat down on the stool and was momentarily joined by a still grinning Naruto. She let out a breath and yelled, "Hey old man, I'm starving here." You could hear someone coming from the back, cursing something about blondes, interrupting him during his break. Naruto stood transfixed, watching the door. The door opened and out came an old man in his 50s. "Blondie, that's the third time this week that you came during my break. You are killing me," said the old man while crossing his hands over his chest. Yeah, just give me 2 Yamanaka special," said a smiling Ino. Ichiraku just grunted and turned towards the other customer. He stood there and just observed the young customer. Then something finally clicked in his mind. "Naruto?" asked Ichiraku. Naruto in response just unleashed his foxy grin and scratched his head. "Naruto, it really is you. My boy, you came back. Where were you? We missed you." "Hold on a second, Ayame. Get over here. You won't believe who is here," yelled Ichiraku. You could hear someone tripping over some pots and cursing. Out of the back came a young girl. "Dad, this better be good. I was enjoying my break," said an irritated girl. Look, pointed Ichiraku towards Naruto. When Ayame saw Naruto she shrieked in delight and jumped over the counter and enveloped Naruto in a hug. Naruto was caught by surprise and fell off the stool. They landed in an awkward position with Ayame straddling him. Ichiraku grunted. Ayame realized what happened and got up quickly and blushed a bit. Ino, who was watching and saw them in that position, felt something stirring in her stomach. She didn't know what it was foreign for her. She put it out of her mind for now and just listened to the conversation between the three. They had a lot of catching up to do. "All right Ayame, let's give Naruto a break. He just came back, he must be tired and hungry," said Ichiraku. "Sorry. All right Naruto, what will you have?" asked a smiling Ayame. 10 Uzumaki specials, please," answered a happy Naruto. Coming right up. With that the father and daughter duo went in the back to prepare the meals for the 2 customers. Naruto turned towards Ino with a raised eyebrow. "Yamanaka special? Yeah, I'm kinda a regular customer here. So we decided to name a dish after me," grinned Ino. "Man, it seems a lot has changed around here while I was gone. I can't wait to catch up with all my friends." "What have you been up to Ino?" asked Naruto. "Well, I made Junin just like the rest of the rookies. I was offered to take a team but I declined. I took a job in the hospital. I'm the head psychiatrist. I help ninja and civilians deal with traumas and stuff like that. I still take an occasional mission so that I don't get rusty." "What else?" I was Tsunade's student for a year. She taught me a lot of medical techniques and Shizune showed me some stuff about poisons. I'm thinking about learning a new element. All I have right now is my clan techniques and the stuff I learned from Tsunade and Shizune. I want to branch out a bit, to have more versatile techniques. Just in case you know. That's great, Ino. I'm happy for you. If you need help with the element, I would be happy to give you a few pointers," said Naruto. "Thanks. I'll think about it. What about you? What changed with you? You must have gotten a lot stronger," asked Ino. "You certainly got handsomer," thought Ino. "Well, I mastered wind, water and lightning element. I'm Chunin level in fire and earth. In a few months I will be a master in sealing. I know some kenjutsu. I've perfected my taijutsu. Genjutsu skills are still non-existent. And that's pretty much it. I might have missed something," responded Naruto, pride evident in his voice. Ino was shocked. "That's amazing, Naruto. You did that in just 2 years. How? You need to be a genius to learn all that." "Not just a genius, a freaking super genius," responded a flabbergasted Ino. Naruto laughed a bit. "Yeah, well, having a fox sealed inside you has some benefits," answered Naruto. "Oh, sorry, it must feel awkward talking about Kyuubi," said Ino in an apologizing voice. "Nah, it's okay. I got over all that and so did Kyuubi. He is a good friend and a better partner. We worked out our differences during the war. Once you get to know the big furball, he is kinda nice. Just don't tell anyone, he is kinda shy about that. He doesn't want his reputation to be ruined," said a grinning Naruto. "Watch it, kid, I can still kick your," grunted Kurama. "Come on, it's just Ino. She won't tell anyone, I hope." The last part was whispered so that Kurama couldn't hear him. "I don't like it, but it's you're on the line. But you certainly know how to pick 'em. That's one fine specimen of a woman you found there. And I've seen how you were looking at her. You can't deny you were checking her out," teased Kurama. Naruto blushed. "Shut up, you oversized furball. She's just a friend. Now go back to sleep," answered a blushing and irritated Naruto. Kurama just laughed in response and fell back asleep. Ino was watching Naruto, who blacked out for a second. His eyebrow was twitching and he was blushing. "I wonder what's going on with him," thought Ino. "Naruto, you in there?" asked Ino, who moved closer to his face and waved her hand in front of his face. Naruto opened his eyes and saw Ino dangerously close to his face. His blush deepened. He could feel her breath against his face. It was so warm. Her eyes were beautiful, her lips so inviting. Kurama started laughing in the background. That woke Naruto up from his daydreaming. "Yeah, Ino, I'm all right," stuttered Naruto. Ino was in the same situation as him. She was blushing profoundly. She didn't even realize that she was that close to his face. She quickly moved her face away from his and turned towards the counter. "I was having a talk with Kyuubi. He doesn't like it when I share stuff that involve him," said Naruto, who recovered a bit from the awkward situation. "Oh, I thought you were thinking, but then I realized that it is you and that you don't think, ever," responded Ino in a teasing manner. Naruto grunted and pouted and said something about bossy blondes. While this was happening, Ayame was watching the two blondes conversing and saw them blushing and gained an evil smirk. "Teasing time," thought an excited Ayame. She walked out with their meals. "Here you go, Naruto. Dad says it's on the house." "Thanks, Ayame Nekken," said Naruto. "And Yamanaka special for your girlfriend," teased Ayame. Both blondes turned bright red at her remark. Naruto suddenly found his bowl very interesting, and so did Ino. Ayame just laughed at their expressions and went back to help her father with the cooking. They ate their meal in silence, not wanting to face each other after Ayame's teasing. When they finished their meals, Ino was going to pay for her meal, but Naruto offered to pay as a thank you for a warm welcome and a good laugh. Ino thanked him and smiled. "Such a gentleman," thought Ino dreamily. Well, it's been fun, Ino. It's time I go see Tsunade and get my beating for leaving for 2 years, said a slightly nervous Naruto. Ino laughed at his predicament. Well, it serves you right, you big idiot. She gave him a hug and kissed him on the cheek and then quickly ran away to hide her blush. She yelled, "Thanks for the meal. We should do it again sometime," and then she was just a blur down the street. Meanwhile, Naruto was still in ecstasy from that hug and kiss. Wait, did she just say we should do it again? Nah, I must have heard her wrong, right. Kurama was again heard laughing in the background. Naruto gained a tick mark on his forehead and clenched his fist while shouting in his mind at his laughing partner. Damn furball. Well, I'm off to a good start. I wonder what else Konoha has in store for me. Alright, here we go. Time to get my kicked, said Naruto while pumping his fist into the air. Hokage's office. It was a day just like any other for the 5th Hokage, Tsunade Senju. She was currently doing paperwork, the bane of her existence, and at the same time indulging herself with a bottle of sake. After the war, things slowed down in the ninja world. The villages have formed a permanent alliances with each other, so the threat of another war is non-existent. Another good thing about this whole peace thing is less paperwork, considerably less. It's been a good 2 years for the 5th. The only thing missing is her ball of sunshine, her local knucklehead. Naruto, it's been 2 years already. You better come back soon or I will beat the shit out of you, thought Tsunade. She was unaware of a figure climbing her tower. She is in for a nasty surprise. Couple of minutes before, Naruto was walking towards the Hokage tower. The people were looking at him and were wondering who this person was and why was he so familiar. The people who did recognize him bowed their heads in respect and gave him a happy smile. Naruto responded with a small smile and with a slight bow of his head. Well, this is new. People are genuinely happy to see me even after 2 years. And what's with the girls? They are acting weird, thought Naruto. You could see groups of girls talking to each other and occasionally taking a glance towards Naruto and giggling. Naruto just gave them a small smile and continued his trek towards the tower. He was taking his time, enjoying in the scenery, taking in the sights of Konoha. It has been too long. I missed this place. Glad to see Konoha recovered from Nagato's destruction, thought Naruto, who was smiling the entire time. Minutes later he could see the tower in his sight. A wave of nostalgia hit him. All the memories he experienced in that tower came rushing back. The time he spent with Gigi, Grandma, Shizune, Ero Sennin. Those were some of the best moments of his life. Yep, I definitely missed this place, thought Naruto. I wonder what Bakken is doing. Probably drinking or sleeping. Lazy old hag, smiled Naruto. An idea formed in his head and a grin spread across his face. Why use the front door when I can see use a play from Ero Sennin's book, schemed a grinning Naruto. He used his camouflage jutsu taught by Ero Sennin and started climbing the tower. He reached the window and saw Tsunade actually working. Now this is a pleasant surprise. Grandma is actually working, thought a surprised Naruto. She narrowed his gaze and saw a bottle of sake on the desk. No wonder she's working. She's probably drunk and isn't aware of what she's doing, thought Naruto. Time to give her a heart attack and get my kicked. He took a deep breath. Bakken! Yelled Naruto. The effect was instantaneous. Tsunade spat all of her sake across the room, knocked over her table with all of her paperwork now lying on the floor and messed up. Her personal Anbu responded quickly and appared in the room and were surprised with the scene. They could barely contain their laughter. You could hear a couple of snickers coming from their mouth. But they quickly stopped when they saw an angry Tsunade. The leader made the best choice of his career and ordered his squad to return to their hiding spots. I took me all morning to file this paper. I'm going to kill the man who did this. raged Tsunade in her mind. She turned around and was speechless. Minato, thought Tsunade. Tsunade, you are drunk again, seeing ghosts and it's not even 2 o'clock yet. Thought a mildly drunk and confused Tsunade. Naruto was laughing hysterically on the windowsill. He was laughing and there were a few tears in his eyes. Too bad he didn't have a camera with him. That would make a perfect picture. Tsunade recovered and saw a laughing blonde with whiskers sitting on her window. That damn brat, scaring me and then laughing at me. I'll show him. She smirked, thinking how she will get even with him. She walked towards him and picked him up his collar and grinned evilly. Naruto stopped laughing and opened his eyes to come face to face with the murderous gaze of Tsunade. Crap, here comes the pain. He prepared himself for the pain that was coming. Tsunade gathered all of her strength and flung him across the room where he impacted with the door and the wall behind it. The entire tower shook because of the impact. Chunin's assistants were running amok, trying to catch the falling items and try to salvage what they could. Naruto was desperately trying to remain conscious, but it was proving to be quite a difficult task. He eventually managed to recover from the atomic bomb he just received. Damn, she still packs quite a punch, thought Naruto, who was holding his head trying to clear his dizziness. Tsunade was tapping her foot in irritation and waited for Naruto to pick himself up. Is that how you greet someone after you haven't seen them for 2 years? Yelled an angry Tsunade. I swear, you are even worse than that old pervert. Naruto just smiled in response and scratched his head and walked towards her. Hey, somebody has got to keep you in shape, otherwise your old will get rusty and dusty, said a grinning Naruto. Tsunade moved towards him till they were only a couple of inches away from each other. She was glaring at him for a couple of moments but relented soon afterwards. She hugged him tightly, like a mother would. Naruto hugged her back. He heard her whisper, "Welcome back, Gaki. It's good to be back. I missed you all," responded Naruto in a quiet manner. They stayed like that for a couple of seconds and then they separated and smiled to each other. Tsunade went back to her chair and picked up her desk and called for Shizune. Naruto sat down in front of her and waited for the questions that were coming. So, where were you? Your messenger Toad wasn't very forthcoming with information. He only said you were training and nothing else, questioned Tsunade. I was completing my sage training with the Toads. There was still a lot of things I had to learn. That took me about half a year. After that I focused on mastering my elements and I studied sealing. I must say seals are very interesting. No wonder my father and mother enjoyed studying them, responded Naruto with a faraway look, thinking about his parents. Tsunade smiled at him, thinking how much he looked and acted like them. He definitely was their son. Minato, Kushina, you would be proud of the man he became, smiled Tsunade. At that time Shizune came in through the hole where the door once was. She saw the mess in the room and sighed deeply. I'm too old for this, thought a tired Shizune. She saw Tsunade talking with a person with a red cloak with black flames in the bottom. The figure turned around when he heard footsteps. Shizune's heart started beating happily. Her brother came back. A tear escaped her eyes and she smiled happily. Naruto saw her and stooped up and went to her to give her a hug. Hello Shizune Nekken. I missed you, said Naruto. Shizune just hugged him tighter. They separated a couple of moments later. Shizune went to stand next to Tsunade, who was smiling at their interaction. I'm sure you both have a lot of questions, so fire away, said Naruto, who made himself comfortable in his chair. They spend the next hour just chatting away, asking questions, and basically catching up the lost time. Meanwhile, a certain blonde was skipping happily down the main street of Konoha. She had a huge smile on her face. People were looking at her funnily, thinking she's crazy or something. Ino paid them no mind. She was happy. Her friend came back. She had a lovely lunch with a handsome man and she is free from work today. She spotted someone walking down the street. It was one of her oldest friends and teammates. Shikamaru. Tamari, yelled Ino. Woman, sighed Shikamaru. Tamari elbowed him in the ribs. Shikamaru grumbled something about girlfriends and their heavy punches. Hey Ino. How you've been? You certainly look happy. What happened? Responded Tamari with a small smile. Shikamaru just gave her a small wave and a smile. Ino and Tamari formed a nice friendship when Tamari moved to Konoha, when Shikamaru asked her to move in with her after 2 years of relationship. They spend a lot of afternoons together just chatting and gossiping. Well, Ino was doing the gossiping. Why wouldn't I be happy? I just had one of the best mornings of my life, said a smiling Ino. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow, his mind already working full speed. It was unusual seeing Ino so happy. Sure, she was always loud and smiled, but not like this. This was different, very different. Oh, do tell, said an intrigued Tamari. She was genuinely interested. Whatever she did, must have been great seeing she wore that big smile on her face. I just spent lunch with our local sage, winked Ino. Tamari made a confused face. Shikamaru smirked. He already connected all the pieces of the puzzle. There is only one sage that could make Ino smile like that. Troublesome. I'm guessing the idiot is finally back, huh? Said Shikamaru lazily and with a small smile that showed he was happy to have his friend back. Ino nodded vigorously, her smile never leaving her face. Tamari realized who they were talking about after Shikamaru's idiot remark. There is only one idiot and a sage in this village, Naruto. Naruto's finally back. He has a lot of explaining to do. Gaara and Kankuro will want to hear of this, said Tamari. Well, I will leave that up to you. I'm actually of planning a gathering of the rookies to celebrate Naruto's return. Would you two come? Questioned Ino, who was still smiling. Man, her face must be hurting from all that stretching, thought the narrator. Of course, we would love to come. It's been a while since we've seen that baka. Right, Shikamaru, said Tamari, who gave Shikamaru a stern look saying he will definitely have to go. Troublesome, was Shikamaru's defeated answer. Great, let's meet up at 8 in the Akamichi barbecue shop. I will notify the others. I will also stop by Naruto's place to tell him about the meeting and persuade him to join us, said a smirking Ino. Troublesome blondes, said Shikamaru. You certainly want to spend a lot of time with Naruto. He just came back and you are already planning the wedding, said a laughing Tamari. Ino slightly blushed after that remark and Shikamaru noticed it and smirked. Naruto, you certainly work fast, thought Shikamaru. Shut up. It's nothing like that. He is just a friend. Sure, he's handsome and everything and has gorgeous blue eyes and those whiskers marks give him this feral look, but that doesn't mean I like him or anything, said Ino, who didn't even realize that she started daydreaming about Naruto. The couple just smirked and laughed a bit. Sure, Ino, whatever you say, said a giggling Tamari. Ino glared at the couple and muttered something about annoying couples, who think they know everything. After that they separated and promised to meet up in the evening. Ino started walking towards Choji's house to make a reservation and then she would notify the others. Later on, Naruto was finished being interrogated by Tsunade and Shizune and said his goodbyes to the two, saying that he is tired and wants to go to sleep. They nodded in understanding. They knew he must have been exhausted after all that training and questioning, not to mention from that super punch from Tsunade. Naruto used the rooftops to get to his apartment faster and to avoid any interruptions. He was there in a couple of minutes. He opened the door and was surprised. He expected his room to be all dusty and messy, but instead it was all clean and shiny and it smelled of flowers. I wonder who took care of my apartment, thought a confused Naruto. He noticed a picture on his nightstand. It was the picture of the old Team 7, the picture which he broke before the war, but someone fixed it. Someone must really care about me, thought Naruto. He shrugged and put that thought of his mind for now. It wasn't important at the moment. What he needed right now was a long, hot shower. With his mind made up, he strolled towards his bathroom. He turned on the shower and waited for the right temperature so that it wasn't too cold or too hot. Satisfied, he took off his clothes and stepped in the shower. He could feel his body relaxing, all the tension and stress just washed away. I needed this, thought a relaxed Naruto. In the street in front of Naruto's apartment, Ino was currently walking towards Naruto's apartment. She told her friends about the gathering to celebrate Naruto's return. They were all thrilled to hear of Naruto's return and couldn't wait to see him after such a long time. With her mission finished, all she needed to do right now was to tell the star of the show of their little gathering. He is probably still with Tsunade. I'll just leave him a message and hopefully that idiot will notice it, thought Ino. She climbed the stairs of Naruto's apartment building and walked towards his apartment. She took her spare key, which was given to her by Tsunade so that she could take care of his apartment during his absence. She inserted the key and turned it. There was a click, which signified that the door was now unlocked. She entered, but she was not alone. At the same time another person stepped out of the apartment, wearing nothing but a small towel over his lower region. Ino blushed like never before. There before her stood a god among men, with a body that everyone would kill for. All those muscles, that perfect tan, that sweat, drooled Ino. Naruto was faring a bit better than Ino. He was startled at first when he saw her walk into his apartment. Thank God for this towel, or this would certainly be a very awkward situation, thought a relieved Naruto. He saw that she was checking him up and that there was actually a bit of saliva gathering in her mouth. Haha, this is going to be fun. Payback time for that kiss, grinned Naruto. Earth to Ino. Is anyone there? Said Naruto. Ino didn't respond and continued to stare at him. Naruto just smirked. Come on Ino. I know I'm gorgeous, but please show some restraint. You were practically undressing me with your eyes. Not that there is much to undress, teased Naruto. Ino snapped out of her staring and looked away so that she wasn't looking at him directly. Don't flatter yourself. You ain't that special. I've seen better. Her statement would have more merit if she wasn't still blushing and occasionally stealing quick glances to his body. Are you sure? I think I saw you drool a bit earlier. It's okay. I won't tell anyone. This will be our little secret, winked Naruto. Shut up, idiot. Don't just stand there. Get dressed already, responded Ino while trying to give him a stern glare, but it wasn't working. Naruto laughed and turned towards his bedroom and put on some regular black t-shirt and some pants. He walked out and saw Ino sitting on his couch. Well, she's certainly made herself at home, thought Naruto. He didn't care. This is Ino after all. She doesn't ask, she just takes what she wants. So, what do you want, Ino? Missed me already? Oh, how come you have a key to my apartment? Questioned Naruto. Ino turned towards him and was disappointed to see Naruto fully dressed. Her show was ruined, cried Ino in her mind. Don't push your luck. I just came by to tell we're having a gathering to welcome you back to the village. All of the rookies are coming. We are going to meet up at Akamichi's barbecue restaurant at 8. And no excuses. If you don't get there on time, I will come for you and drag you there myself. Glared Ino. Seriously, you didn't have to do that for me. I was going to pay everyone a visit tomorrow. But this is actually better. I'll be there, no doubt about that. You didn't answer my last question. Why do you have my key? Responded Naruto. Oh, Tsunade gave it to me one day. I asked her to give it to me so that I could clean your apartment. I didn't want you to come back home and sleep in a dirty apartment, said Ino in a calm manner. I see. That was very nice of you. You've been doing a lot of nice things for me lately. First lunch, then this gathering, and to top it all off you've been taking care of my apartment. I don't know what to say. I'll make it up to you. I promise, responded a mildly shocked and surprised Naruto. Why would Ino be this nice to me all of a sudden? We were never actually close. She certainly changed a lot, thought Naruto. It's okay. You don't have to do anything. You've already done enough for me, for all of us. You deserve a break once in a while. Smiled Ino. Naruto smiled back. This was nice to him. Nobody ever helped him and showed him this kind of kindness apart from Bakken, Erosenin and Gigi. It felt good, he felt warm. Anyway, my job is done. I need to go home and prepare for this evening. I will see you later in the evening. Take care Naruto. See ya, said Ino, who was already walking out of his apartment. Bye Ino. See ya, responded Naruto with a wave. I guess I should also prepare and look in my closet what I have to wear. Later in the evening, Akamichi restaurant. Where is that idiot? Questioned an irritated Kiba. Calm down Kiba, he's not late yet, he still has a couple of minutes. He knows what will happen if he will be late, said Ino with an evil smirk. Troublesome blonde, said Nara lazily. What was that Shika? I couldn't hear you. Speak up, said Ino with a glare. All right everybody, let's calm down. No reason to get angry with one another. I'm sure Naruto will come any minute now. Let's catch up in the meantime. It's been a while since we last gathered like this, said Neji in his stoic manner. They spend the next few minutes waiting for Naruto, chatting and joking around. 8 p.m. sharp, the door to the restaurant opened and in came Naruto. He wore a black muscle t-shirt, with some blue swirls covering the edges of the shirt. He wore simple black with some hint of red shinobi pants. His headband was tied around his shoulder, allowing his hair to fall down freely across his forehead. All in all, he looked good, judging by the looks he was receiving from the female patrons in the restaurant. Hey guys, long time no see, said Naruto, using his foxy grin to avoid any beating for leaving for 2 years. Naruto, they all yelled. They stood up and went towards him to properly greet him, using man hugs, and for the girls some awkward hugs. How you've been, man. You certainly had us worried. If it weren't for Tsunade telling us you were training, we would have sent out a search party for you. Idiot. Next time leave a message, growled Kiba in the end, but there was no malice in the end, just playfulness. They all took a seat so that they can more comfortable while they talk. Naruto took the seat between Ino and Choji. Across from him were seated Shikamaru, Tamari, who was leaning on his shoulder, and Shino. To the right side of the table were Lee, who was barely containing his youthfulness, Neji and Tenten, who seemed to be very comfortable with each other. On the left side were Kiba, Hinata, who Naruto noticed wasn't as shy as before. She was still blushing, mind you, but not as much as before. With them was also Sai, who was smiling, and not his fake smile but his real smile. Just another person who was changed by the child of prophecy. Yeah, sorry about that. Everything happened so quickly. I came home from that war celebration and next thing I knew I was summoned to the realm of the toads. They told me that my training wasn't finished and that this is a path that all sages of the toads need to take. Responded Naruto with a tinge of regret in his voice for leaving his friends without a proper goodbye. Typical. Whenever you leave, it's because of training. The training trip with Lord Jiraiya, the mission to get Tsunade, the mission to conquer your Biju, and now this. Will you ever stop trying? You know, it's hard for us mortals to keep up with you. Responded Kiba in a fake hurt manner. Ha ha, I can't help it. Training is relaxing and fun for me. It's not my problem you can't keep up, mutt, said Naruto with a smirk on his face. The two friends glared at each other, but it lacked the aggression. They relented a few moments later and just laughed, while others joined them. Anyway, it's good to have you back. Gaara and Konkuro will be thrilled to hear of your return. You were sorely missed. This place needed some color back. It was getting kinda boring and this lazy idiot wasn't any better," said Temari while sending a glare to Shikamaru, who just shrugged his shoulder and let out a sigh. "Thanks, Temari. I'm guessing you two finally got together, huh? It's about time, if you ask me. You certainly were stubborn about this whole relationship thing," said Naruto in a happy tone. "Yeah, it's been 2 years now. We realized after the war that pretty much anything can happen, so we went for it. After a year, Shikamaru asked me to move to Konoha. With some negotiation with Gaara, I was assigned as a permanent ambassador for Konoha. Yep, life has been great so far. How about you? Seeing someone, or have you found her already?" said Temari while sending a look towards Ino, which Naruto caught. He blushed and tensed a bit, but nobody noticed except Shikamaru, Shino and Neji. They looked at each other and smiled. Well, Shino just raised his eyebrow. Ino was in the same position. She was finding her lap very interesting and she was fidgeting a bit. Lee, who was going to explode, because of all the pent-up youthfulness, decided to shout his opinion. "Yash, Naruto-kun, your fire of youth is burning as bright as ever. I would love to test my youth against yours. If I lose, I'm going to run around Konoha 1,000 times, and if I can't finish," yelled Lee in his normal manner. They tuned him out for the time being, at least until he stops describing his ridiculous training. Naruto and Ino were just glad to change the subject. "That's great, Lee. I would love to spar against you," responded Naruto with a kind smile directed towards his energetic friend. Lee responded with an equal smile. "Anyway guys, I'm dying to know what you've been up to. Judging by Ino's fantastic progress, I can't wait to hear of your exploits," said Naruto. Ino blushed slightly at his subtle compliment, but she recovered fast. "I'll go first," interject Kiba. "I'm a Junin. I'm in charge of my own tracker team. My team is one of the best in the village, just behind my sister's. And I'm dating the prettiest girl in the village." With that, he gently squeezed Hinata's hand and gave her a loving smile. Naruto looked at them and saw the love. He would still have to talk to Hinata about the whole confession thing. But that can come later. "I'm happy for you guys. You deserve it," smiled Naruto. "Anyo, I'm a Junin and I'm helping in the hospital. I'm helping them with the studies about healing creams and lotions. I'm also helping my sister, Hanabi, become a good clan head," said Hinata with a slight stutter in her voice. Naruto smiled at her and gave her a compliment. Sai went next. "I'm the leader of the Root program, which Tsunade approved. We are collaborating with her and her Anbu. I made some changes to the program. I molded it after the Anbu but still retained some of the features from before," said Sai with a small smile. "Wow, not bad, Sai. Always knew you had it in ya," said Naruto with pride. "Thanks," teased Sai. Naruto gave him a hard look and glared at him. Everyone just laughed at their bickering. Some things never change, they all thought. Since I already talked about myself, I think Nara here would love to pick things up. "Right, Nara," said Temari while sending some motivation towards Shikamaru ribs. "Troublesome. I'm a Junin and I help Dad in the intelligence and strategy department. And I have to take care of a troublesome girlfriend," responded Shikamaru. "Oh, shut up. You know you love me, you big oaf," said Temari while giving him a kiss on the cheek. Everyone smiled at their affection. They certainly are a weird couple, thought the rookies. Choji went up next, who was no longer fat as before. He was still rough around the edges but much better than before. "I'm also a Junin and I'm in charge of my own genin team. They are a lively little bunch. They bicker a lot but they've got potential. My dad also started to train me to become the clan head. He thinks I'll be ready in a few years. I'm also dating someone but that's a secret for now," said Choji. Damn Choji. That's a lot to take in. You certainly were busy, smiled Naruto. Thanks man. We all can't be heroes, so we've got content ourselves with normal, mortal stuff, said Choji with a smirk. The others joined him. Haha. Very funny Choji. You are all heroes in my eyes, you know that, smiled Naruto. They gave him a smile in return. It's nice to be appreciated. Yosh, my turn. I'm also a Junin and have my own team. They are all shining with the power of youth, yelled Lee, prideful of his team. Naruto smiled and told him he would love to meet his team. Shino decided to end his quiet time. Hello Naruto. I'm also a Junin and a poison specialist. Tsunade founded a new department for poison research and put the Aburame clan in charge. My father is the head of the department and I'm his assistant and next in line to take charge, Shino said in a stoic manner. Phew Shino. Busy as a bee, huh? Smirked Naruto. Shino nodded at his little joke. Tenten took charge. I'm a Junin also. I'm the leading weapon specialist in the village. But I'm not like the rest of these maniacs. I took a job in the academy to teach kids the value and importance of weapons. I like the simple things in life, said Tenten with a bit sadness, because of not achieving as much as her other peers. Tenten, that's awesome. I always respected teachers ever since I met Iruka-sensei. Don't sell yourself short. What you've achieved is nothing to snort at. You should be proud of yourself. I know I am, said Naruto with a big smile. Tenten brightened and thanked him for the show of confidence. Neji took hold of her hand and smiled at her. Naruto noticed this. Another couple. Huh, I'm away for 2 years and you are all paired up, said Naruto. Well, not everyone. Ino is still free, teased Tamari. Shut up, you big blonde bimbo, blushed and glared Ino. Ha ha ha. Naruto just laughed at their bickering and so did others. Naruto saw that there was no anger present in their arguing. The others were used to this and they knew they were good friends. Well, I guess I'm last. You know what they say. Keep the best for last, joked Neji. Holy shit. Did Neji just make a joke? Shouted a shocked Naruto. Others just laughed at his expression. They gotten used to the new Neji. Shut up. I wasn't that bad before, said Neji in a hurt manner, but was still smiling. Yes you were. Remember, you had that huge stick in your, smirked Naruto. The table started shaking, because of the laughter. He has a point Neji. You were pretty stuck up, said Kiba still snickering. Others nodded in approval. Yeah, that's in the past now. Anyway, I'm a Junin and the head of the branch family. I'm helping Hinata teach Hanabi how to run a clan. I must say, Hanabi will make a great clan head. Ever since she started hanging around with Konohamaru, she certainly changed. She mellowed out and became more humble, good qualities for a leader to have, said Neji. Konohamaru. Huh, that sounds like him. I wonder what he did, said Naruto. I must say guys, you've blown me away with your achievements. I'm proud of all you guys. It looks like I have to catch up to all of you, huh? I'm still a measly genin, said Naruto, hurt by his rank. Ino raised an eyebrow. I thought he was Junin, since he wore a Junin jacket. She filed that away for later. His friends laughed at his predicament. Haha, the hero of Konoha and elemental nations still a genin. That's just priceless, laughed Kiba. Bite me, mud, responded Naruto with a friendly glare. They laughed for a couple of moments. So, I'm sure we've all been dying to find out about your training. So, fire away Naruto, said Neji after he calmed down. Others nodded and paid close attention on his next words. Naruto told them all about what he did, his training with the toads, training his elements and seals. To say they were shocked would be an understatement. They knew he would get stronger, but this was insane. Nobody could improve that much in such a short time. But then again, this is Naruto we're talking about. He makes the impossible possible. With that the evening ended. They each went their own way. The last ones there were Temari, Shikamaru and Ino, Naruto. It's time to go, Shika. I'm tired, said a tired Temari. Shikamaru nodded and took her hand. They waved at their friend and said goodbye. Well, I guess it's just you and me, huh, Ino? Said Naruto. Ino smiled. Let me walk you home. It's been a long day. Thanks, Ino. I appreciate it. They walked towards her home in a blissful silence. Ino decided to ask a question. Hey Naruto. Hummed Naruto. You said you weren't Junin. Then how come you were wearing a Junin flak jacket? Questioned Ino. Oh, that wasn't my jacket. It was a memento from my father. It's one of the few things I have left that remind me of him, said Naruto, who had a small smile on his face. You know who your parents are? Said a shocked Ino. Naruto nodded. Yes, I knew for a while now. I found out before the war actually. Said Naruto. Seriously, how come you never told us? Don't you trust us? Questioned Ino, slightly hurt by his decision. Of course I trust. I trust you with my life. But it was too risky back then. My heritage would bring more harm than good. So I kept it for myself until everything settled down. Responded Naruto hastily, not wanting to offend and anger Ino. Well, everything's settled down now. I'm all ears, smirked Ino. Now, where's the fun in that? Let's make a game out of it. If you manage to find out the identity of at least one of my parents, I will teach you one of my techniques. The time limit is 1 week. If you lose, I get 2. You know what, let's keep it a surprise. I promise it won't be something perverted, and you can always say no if you don't like my idea. Said Naruto. Ino pouted, because she really wanted to know about his parents. But she would content herself with a little game. I mean, how hard can it be to find out about his parents, thought Ino. If you only knew Ino. I don't like it, but okay. If you say so, said Ino. Great. There are no rules. You can use whatever means necessary to find the necessary information. Said Naruto. Ino nodded, liking the sound of that. They were so engrossed in their conversation, they didn't even realize they were standing in front of Ino's house. Well, this is it. I'll see you later, Ino. Sweet dreams, said Naruto. Likewise, Naruto. And thank you for walking me home. That was sweet of you, said Ino, who gave him a small hug. She turned towards her house. She turned back and saw Naruto still standing at the same spot, stunned because of the hug. She smiled at him and went inside. Man, she's hugging me a lot lately, said Naruto with a smile. With that he started walking back towards his home, reminiscing about today's events. He couldn't help but think if every day is going to be so good. And that's a wrap. Next chapter, some training. Ino searching for information, basically the development of their relationship. It was 5 a.m. in the morning. Normally people wouldn't even dream of thinking of getting up at that time. Sadly, one particular ninja didn't have a choice in the matter. The reason? One alarm clock from the deepest pits of hell was ringing out of control. What the hell? Shouted Naruto. The alarm scared the bejesus something I heard in Top Gear out of him. Who the hell set up my alarm to beep at 5 a.m. in the morning? I'm going to kill that idiot. Whoever he is, he's a walking dead man. Yelled in irritation Naruto, who was in the process of picking himself up from the floor of his apartment. He walked towards his nightstand where the clock was, while rubbing his temples trying to clear all the morning fogginess. He saw a note behind it. Dear Gaki, this is payback for before. Love Bakken, said the note. Damn, I just got pranked by a 50-year-old woman. I'm losing my touch. You may have won this battle, Bakken, but the war will be won by me, Datbeo. Vowed Naruto. He proceeded to Rasengan the clock repeatedly so that this never happens again. He sighed. There's no way I'll be able to go back to sleep now. I might as well make the most of it. Ramen time, mused Naruto, who pumped his fist in the air at his end remark but immediately regretted doing that, because the fogginess returned full force. But first, a long and relaxing shower. With that he strolled towards his bathroom to take a well-deserved shower. After 20 minutes or so he came out of the steamy shower and changed into his ninja clothes. With that he left towards his destination. Ichiraku, here I come. He was nothing but a blur while jumping across rooftops towards his destination. Ichiraku. A few seconds later, an old man could be seen yawning behind the counter, trying to wake himself up. The man, in his old age, wanted nothing more than to pass on his restaurant to his daughter, but alas, that was just a wish. His daughter, while extremely capable, is still just one man, woman. And that is not enough to run this place, especially now when the Black Hole aka Naruto returned. Let it also be known that Ichiraku doesn't like to be scared shitless. As would be seen in a couple of moments. Old man, yelled Naruto at the top of his lungs. And then it happened. It all happened so suddenly. The knife appeared out of nowhere. Seriously, it's like it came from the heavens themselves to aid their owner. Next thing Naruto knew, something was flying past his head, inches away from his eyes. If it weren't for his insane reflexes, he wouldn't be able to see the finer things in life, like Ino's firm and long legs. Me like, thought both the narrator and Naruto. Note to self, don't ever scare old man again. Thought a very scared Naruto. Naruto, don't ever scare me like that again. I think I had a small heart attack, said a painting Ichiraku, who had a hand over his heart area. Sorry, I didn't mean to, I swear. Please, don't throw any knives, please, said a pleading Naruto. Oh, sorry about that. Reflex, I guess, said an embarrassed Ichiraku, who took a play from Naruto's book and scratched his head in a very Naruto-like manner. Reflex, my. Not even seasoned ninjas have that kind of reflexes. Seriously, you are like a demon in disguise. Smirked Naruto playfully. Haha, very funny. Laugh all you want. I'm still the one that decides if you get any ramen or not. Grinned Ichiraku. Please don't take away my ramen. Don't take away the nectar from gods. I'll do anything. Please, begged Naruto, who got on all four and bowed his head in submission. Ichiraku just laughed at his response. Ah, I missed this, thought the bemused old man. Settle down. While I would like to punish you, this place still needs money to operate and you do contribute a lot of it. So all is forgiven, for now, said the old man, who was pleased with his witty remarks. Yup, still got it. Thanks, old man. Now bring me my drug. 5 miso ramens please, said a now smiling Naruto, happy to escape old man's judgment. With that the old man excused himself and went to work. His place took an also yawning Ayame. She's clearly not a morning person, judging from the state of her hair. Morning Nichan. Sleep well, teased Naruto. Ayame just flipped him the bird and sat down on the stool behind the counter and proceeded to fix her hair. A while later she finished her morning routine and started chatting with Naruto. No girlfriend today. What happened? Did you do something to piss her off after 24 hours? Teased Ayame. She's not my girlfriend, yelled Naruto. Seriously, people need to stop saying that. We've just happened to have met at the memorial and went to lunch together. No big deal. Friends do that, you know. So what if she saw me? That was an accident, said Naruto, who realized his slip up and quickly put a hand over his mouth, while blushing. Oh, you say. You certainly work fast, Naruto. Never thought you were such a ladies' man, giggled Ayame. Oh, shut up, I had a towel protecting my manhood. Grumbled Naruto. Ayame just continued to giggle, which caused Naruto to give her one of his brotherly glares. You know, one day I will pay you back for all of your teasing. As soon as I find out that you are seeing someone, all hell will break loose. And that's a promise, Datbeo. Vovu Naruto. That shut Ayame up. She was seeing someone, but they were keeping it a secret for now. Oh man, I had to go overboard with the teasing. I hope he forgets about this whole thing. Ah, who am I kidding? This is Naruto, of course he won't forget, thought Ayame, who was regretting her actions, but not for long. Still, it was worth it. Yeah, keep dreaming, Naruto. Responded Ayame quickly. She went to the kitchen to get Naruto's dosage of ramen. The duo returned and talked with Naruto about his plans now that he's back in the village. He said, he'll just go with the flow. One thing he will definitely have to do is become a freaking Junin. Can't stay genin for life, you know. With that he bid the duo goodbye. Well, time to burn of these calories. Some light training should do the trick, said Naruto to himself. He went towards his favorite training ground, the one he and his perverted master used to use. The perverted training ground. As soon as he arrived, a wave of memories attacked his mind. The time when the pervert taught him how to water walk and summon. When they used to spar together, laugh together, eat the frozen popsicles, or when he yelled at him for peeping on women at the waterfall. Ah, good times. I hope you are happy wherever you are, Ero Sennin. Said Naruto, who looked up to see a bright blue sky and saw a smiling Jiraiya looking down at him. He closed his eyes and smiled back and stood there for a few moments, just letting the wind circle around him. All right, time to sweat. He proceeded to do some light jogging and some strength exercises. After that he focused on his elements. He made 100 clones and divided them into 4 groups of 25. Each group would either take fire, water, earth or lightning to practice elemental manipulation, while the original one would tackle wind. I've already mastered wind, but there is a level beyond that. Kakashi told me once that there were some users who could control the air flow with their chakra. Well, time to test that, said Naruto, who took a lotus position on the ground and started to focus. If someone were to be passing by, they would see a bunch of Narutos practicing the elements. Some would be burning down trees with their chakra, some would form whirlpools on the lake, others trying to make a boulder, and some trying to create small sparks of lightning on their fingers. There would also be a lone Naruto meditating and be surrounded by a small twister. Truly a remarkable sight. After an hour or two Naruto finished with his light training. Yes, that was light. There was some progress, but not as much as he would like, but still Konoha wasn't built overnight. He has time. He decided to go back to the village and visit Bakken and see what she's doing, or visit some of his friends. Kakashi, maybe. I haven't seen him since I returned. I wonder what that pervert's doing, thought Naruto. While he was jogging back to the village, he heard someone yell out in frustration, obviously displeased with something. The sound was coming from one of the nearby training grounds. The ever-nosy Naruto decided to investigate. When he arrived there he saw a young blonde yelling at a leaf in her hands. He heard only bits of what she was saying, like, "Stupid," or, "Why won't you work," or his favorite, "Bite me." He snickered a bit and laughed at her frustration, but decided to end her misery and help her out a bit. He jumped down from the tree and walked towards her. "Hey Ino!" yelled Naruto. Ino was still yelling at the leaf but stopped when she heard Naruto's voice. "Naruto, what are you doing here? Are you following me?" teased Ino. "You wish," smirked Naruto. Ino pouted and turned away from his, faking hurt at his remark. "Haha, you lost again, Ino, sorry. But seriously, I was training nearby and I was returning to the village and I heard you yell at someone or something in your case. Seriously Ino, you've got a big set of lungs on you. I could hear you a mile away. You should use that and make your own personal jutsu like the screaming jutsu. Man, imagine that. That would certainly be ranked as an S-rank jutsu. Laughed Naruto. Ino hit him over the head using a small amount of chakra in her fist, just enough for him to stop laughing. She tapped her foot in frustration and glared at him while he was trying to pick himself up from her haymaker. Now is not the time to be charming, Naruto. I'm losing my mind here. I've been doing this exercise for over an hour now and still nothing. It's like this damn leaf hates me or something, growled Ino. Naruto, who recovered from the smash from hell, said, maybe I can help. Just tell what you want to do and maybe I can give you a few pointers. Offered Naruto. Really? You would do that? Questioned Ino, happy for his offer. Of course. I told you yesterday. If you need help with anything, just use your newly named screaming jutsu and I'll come by running, said Naruto playfully. Shut up, idiot. I'm not that loud, said Ino while pouting. But I do need some help. This thing is bugging the hell out of me. I found that I have a water affinity and found a book where it says that the first exercise is to try and soak a leaf. It said I need to be silent and deadly just like water to perform this exercise, whatever that means. I've been trying this for an hour now but still no progress. I'm considering venting out my anger on something but this leaf won't do. I need a live target for that, said Ino, who grinned evilly in the end while looking at Naruto to see a red dot on his forehead and target written over his head. Naruto saw her look and thought of a quick getaway. He decided to distract her for the time being by helping her. Hopefully her anger will fade away. I can help you with that, Ino, responded Naruto with haste. Ino perked up at his response, her anger forgotten for the moment. I've been in the same situation as you. I did this exercise while I was with the toads. Man, I must tell you, the exercise was a pain in the... For me, it took quite some time to finish it, said Naruto, reminiscing about his training. Well, how did you do it? Don't make me wait, idiot, snapped Ino, desperately needing an answer. All right, Ino, no need to blow a gasket. The elder toad told me in order to complete this exercise you need to think like water, be water. I was like, what? This earned a laughter from Ino. Yeah, that sounds like you, all muscle but no brains, quipped Ino. Yeah, moving on. As I was saying, you need to relax. The secret to this exercise is to remain calm and let the chakra flow through your body to your hand. Envelop the leaf, calm the leaf in a manner. When you do that, explode. Use all your chakra you can and speed up the process of enveloping the leaf. Here, let me show you. Naruto demonstrated her on how to do it. A second later, the leaf was drenched in water. Ino was astounded. What she was trying to do for the past hour was done in a second. Wow, he's good, thought Ino with a renewed vigor. Ino got to work. Naruto's voice was resonating in her head, guiding her. Okay, Ino, remain calm. Think of something peaceful, thought Ino. Images of Naruto's laughter and smile appeared in Ino's mind. Not that, idiot. Find something different. A clearing full of flowers came next. Ah, that's better. But then Naruto could be seen running towards her carrying flowers in his lap. Ino sighed internally. This is going to take a while. Naruto was watching her focus, trying hard to complete this hellish exercise. She looks cute when she's focusing, thought Naruto, but quickly shook those thoughts out of his mind. Bad Naruto, berated Naruto himself. He saw that this is going to take a while, so he suggested to Ino that she takes a set near the lake to help her calm down and at the same time find inspiration by listening to the sound of water. She nodded and they both took a set near the edge of the lake. Ino took a leaf into her hands again and restarted on the exercise. Naruto was bored. He couldn't look at Ino, because he would get certain images in his head, so he was looking around the area finding nothing of interest. He turned back towards the lake and got an idea. He smirked. He stood up silently and walked into the lake till he was knee-deep in the water. He prepared himself. "Hey Ino," said Naruto with a hidden mirth. Ino opened her eyes and saw Naruto crouching with his hands in the water. He wouldn't, thought Ino. But he would. Naruto moved his hands and splashed water all over Ino's body. Ino yelled in surprise. How dare he? I'll show him, thought an angry Ino. Nobody messes with a Yamanak and gets away with it. She tackled him and they fell into the water with Ino on top of him. Underwater, Naruto could be seen smiling. His idea worked. Ino took the bait. Ino was also smiling. She didn't know why, but she couldn't stay mad at Naruto for long. They emerged a couple of moments later, still laughing. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But hey, it worked. You are more relaxed and calm now, right? Said Naruto through his laughter. Ino, who was laughing, had to admit he was right. This certainly helped with her tension. You were such an idiot, Naruto, but thank you. I do feel better now. But don't think you can do this every time, you know. Next time, there would be hell too. Grinned Ino. Naruto gulped and nodded furiously, not wanting to anger the blonde. Yes ma'am, saluted Naruto. Good, said Ino. Hold on Ino, let me do something about our clothes, said Naruto. Ino didn't have time to ponder on his words. She was suddenly attacked by a small gust of warm wind which felt damn good in her opinion. A few moments later they were dry and warm. She thanked him for his help. With that she went back to work. Naruto took a seat by her side and watched her try to perform exercise. They stayed like that for an hour with Naruto giving Ino tips and Ino trying to soak the leaf. At the end of the training session Ino managed to partially wet the leaf. It wasn't much, but it was progress. Ino thanked him for the help, saying she will pay him back somehow. No need Ino. You've done enough in the last 2 days to last a lifetime. Responded Naruto with kind smile, showing appreciation for everything she's done for him. Ino smiled and just sat there for a while, striking a conversation. Ino wanted to use this opportunity to find out something about his parents. Naruto, what were your parents like? Questioned Ino in a humble tone, not wanting to bring out any bad memories. Naruto smiled and looked up at the sky. They were everything I could ever hope for in a parent. They were heroes in every sense of the word. They sacrificed their lives in order for me to live. They did it without hesitation, proving how much they loved me, said Naruto with a sad smile and a few tears escaping his eyes. Ino smiled at him and also shed a few tears at his story. She took his hand and squeezed it gently, showing her support and telling him it's okay. Naruto nodded in appreciation. So did that answer your question, Ino? Any closer on finding out who they are? Quipped Naruto with a grin on his face. Well, it's a start. I'm still nowhere close to finding out, but I've got time. I'll just follow the clues and solve the puzzle. No problem, exclaimed Ino. Good. I'm looking forward to next week, responded Naruto. Ino smiled and nodded. So, do you have any plans for the afternoon? Questioned Ino. Not really. I was thinking of visiting Kakashi. I haven't seen him since I returned. I want to see what he's been up to while I was gone, said Naruto. Oh, well, usually he's at Kurenai's house in the morning helping with the baby, said Ino. Naruto raised an eyebrow, obviously surprised. Huh, you mean Kakashi, the pervert, spending time with Kurenai, the pervert hater, said a surprised but amused Naruto. Haha, yeah, ever since the war, Kakashi's been helping out with all the baby stuff. It's actually very sweet of him. I know Kurenai's very grateful for his help. And so am I. Kurenai needs all the help she can get. Being a single mother is a tough job. She needs some alone time for herself. Although I have suspicions about the two, they've been very comfortable with each other lately. said Ino with a narrowed gaze, in the end not liking the idea of not knowing something juicy. Man. Kakashi. A babysitter. How about that? Smirked Naruto. What about his reading habits? I'm pretty sure Kurenai doesn't like the idea of a pervert being near her baby. Questioned and interested Naruto. Oh, you don't have to worry about that. She took care of that early on. You should have seen Kakashi's punishment when he walked in one day with his book in his hands while the baby was in Kurenai's hands. She used a yaoi genjutsu on him. Kakashi didn't stop twitching for a week. After that he only reads that stuff when he is alone and nowhere near Kurenai. Answered an amused Ino, who could barely contain her laughter while remembering that particular event. Naruto joined her. He could already see the scene playing in his head. Man, I wish I've been there to see that, thought Naruto, clearly amused at Kakashi's situation. If you want we can go there together. I wanted to visit Kurenai for a while now. You should see her son. It's the cutest little thing, he looks just like his father. Smiled Ino. Man, you must really like the little bugger, remarked Naruto with a smile. I do. And you will too, trust me. Just one laugh from him and you will be his slave forever. Winked Ino. Naruto laughed. All right, lead the way to my new master. Teased Naruto. They walked back towards the village and towards Kurenai's house while chatting about random things that happened during the 2 years that he was gone. Ino tried to gain additional information about his parents, but Naruto wouldn't give any conclusive answers. Kurenai's house. Kurenai was in the process of making a late breakfast. She had the luxury to sleep in a bit today courtesy of her now regular guest Hitaki Kakashi. Some would wonder what is an A-class ninja doing at 10 a.m. in the morning taking care of some kid that isn't even his own. And so did Kurenai, frankly. The change happened so fast. One day we are nothing more than acquaintances, the next he's volunteering to watch little Asuma. Mused Kurenai. It must be the war. This was his second. Perhaps he realized something during the war. Thought Kurenai. But she decided not to squander this gift from the heavens and just go with the flow. She liked his company. When he is with her and Asuma Jr., it's like he's a different person. He is no longer the ninja that strikes fear into the enemy's hearts but a thoughtful friend. In the last 2 years or so she got to meet the real Kakashi. Kakashi who went through 2 wars, who lost both of his teammates and his sensei. Kakashi who lost his father at an early age. And she has to admit, she likes this Kakashi. She found out that he can be quite loving, kind and sincere when he wants to be. They spend a lot of time together actually. They had lunch together regularly and sometimes even dinner. Breakfast was a regular thing. She can't even remember when he wasn't over for breakfast. And those late night walks around the village, sighed Kurenai dreamily. Wow, don't go down that lane, Kurenai. Thought Kurenai to herself. Can't start dreaming about Kakashi now, can we? Right, thought and ensure Kurenai. To be honest with herself, she wouldn't mind going out with Kakashi. She likes his company. He's thoughtful, great with Asuma Jr., he makes her laugh. What more could she possibly want? Kurenai sighed. I need a second opinion. Thought Kurenai. She was woken up from her thinking by a knock on the door. I wonder who that is, thought Kurenai. She went to open door, passing by Kakashi who was keeping little Asuma company and playing with him with some cubes. Kurenai opened the door and saw twins. Seriously. They look so much alike. Ino. What a surprise. I haven't seen you in a while. Said a surprised Kurenai, while in the process of hugging Ino. Yeah. Sorry about that. Work was killing me. I had to work double shifts because some staff members took vacations. But it's over now, so I decided to visit my favorite nephew. Smiled Ino. Kurenai smiled and nodded. She looked towards Ino's twin brother who was just standing there with a happy smile on his face. As soon as she saw those whisker marks on his face, everything clicked in her mind. Naruto! Yelled Kurenai, who gave him a small hug. You've returned. About time if you ask me. This village was lost without you, remarked Kurenai with a small smile. Hi Kurenai-sensei. Long time no see. Looking good, by the way. Winked Naruto playfully. Kurenai nodded in appreciation, thankful that he noticed she got rid of the baby fat. Alright already. Enough with the flirting. I want my Asuma dosage, right now, said Ino. Kurenai just laughed a little and shrugged their shoulders and proceeded to enter the house. They walked into the living room where they saw a laughing Asuma Jr. and a happy Kakashi who was holding some cubes in his hands. The trio smiled at the scene, Kurenai more so than the other two. Ino noticed her smile, her suspicions were proving to be right on target. She would have to talk with her later about their relationship. Kakashi finally noticed the additional company and turned around to come face to face with a smiling Kurenai, Ino and Naruto. Wait, Naruto, thought a surprised Kakashi. Naruto, you're back, said a very happy and surprised Kakashi. Kakashi gave him one of his eye smiles to show him how happy he is to see him favorite student again. Hey Kakashi-sensei, it's been too long, but you've certainly been busy, quipped Naruto while sending a look towards Kurenai and the baby. Kakashi scratched his head and I smiled. That was everything Naruto needed. He understood perfectly. Asuma Jr., who was looking towards the new arrivals, recognized his favorite auntie. Auntie, auntie, yelled Asuma Jr. in delight, who jumped into Ino's arms and hugged her. Hey there Asuma, missed me? I certainly missed you. Have you been good while I was away? Did you listen to your mother and Kakashi? Questioned Ino in a playful manner while entangling Asuma of her body and put him on solid ground again. Asuma nodded with a big smile, happy to see Auntie Ino again. Asuma turned towards the other blonde guest who was watching the interaction with a happy smile. Asuma pointed towards Naruto and asked, "Who's that auntie?" "Your, boy," asked Asuma, who was struggling with the last word. Kurenai decided to help him. "Boyfriend, Asuma, is that you wanted to say?" helped Kurenai. Asuma nodded, which caused the blondes to blush at the boy's remark. "Seriously, everywhere I go it's always the same question. Do you have Ino written on my forehead or what?" said a blushing Naruto. Ino nodded in understanding and answered Asuma's question. "No Asuma, this is not my boyfriend. This is my friend Naruto. He's a ninja like your mother and Kakashi. He's really strong," said Ino, who got rid of her blush while talking to Asuma Jr. "Cool. Do you know any jutsu? Can you show me some?" said Asuma Jr., bouncing in delight and with stars in his eyes. Naruto laughed at his happy expression. He reminded of him, always full of energy and wanting to see cool jutsus. "Yes, I know a couple. I'll show them to you some other time, but only if you will be good and do whatever your mommy says." "Okay," answered Naruto while smiling towards Asuma Jr., who calmed down a bit. "But not by much, I promise. I'll even eat all my vegetables," answered Asuma. Ino, Kakashi and Kurenai smiled at the two. They couldn't help but notice how good Naruto is with little Asuma. It's like he has this aura around him that seems to calm and relax everybody around him. Then again, this is the man who befriended all the cages and so many other things. "Naruto, would you and Kakashi mind watching Asuma for a bit while me and Ino finish making breakfast?" "You are welcome to join us, of course," asked Kurenai. Naruto nodded, seeing no problem with her request. He liked the little Gaki. It's no wonder Ino likes him so much, he's just so likable. Mused Naruto. Kurenai nodded in appreciation. With that, the two ladies left the room to finish up breakfast. When Kurenai arrived in the kitchen, she immediately turned around and asked the question that's been plaguing her mind. "All right, talk. You two look very comfortable near each other. And I saw the blush. Don't try to avoid the question. Now, speak," said Kurenai while giving a stern look, obviously wanting some information. Sheesh. Talk about sneak attack. What's up with people obsessing about me and Naruto? He's right, it's like our bodies are saying that we are dating or something. But to answer your question, there is nothing between us. We met yesterday at the Memorial Stone, we talked, had lunch, laughed, then had dinner with the rest of the rookies and he walked me home after that. We met again in the morning, when he helped me with my training. We talked some more after that and now we're here, answered Ino, who was panting after that long explanation. In the other room Naruto was in the situation. He was currently being interrogated by Kakashi, who saw the same thing as Kurenai. Kurenai wasn't completely satisfied with her answer. And, there is still something between you. I can feel it. How do you feel about him? Asked Kurenai, not wanting to drop the subject. Man, you won't let this go, huh? Alright, I admit, I do feel something towards him, but I don't know what it is yet. It could just be friendship or could be something more, I don't know yet. He's just so kind and considerate. He always takes the extra mile just to make you happy. And the best part, he doesn't want anything in return. I mean, for the love of God, he saved this village on countless occasions, he saved the world, and he's still so humble. Nobody could be that perfect, seriously. Answered Ino honestly. Kurenai nodded, finally happy with Ino's answer. I thought you felt like that. I could see it in your eyes. There was a small twinkle every time you looked at Naruto. I'm happy for you, Ino. It may not be love yet, but you are getting there. Just spend some more time with him and get to know him more and you'll get your answer. Said Kurenai with a kind smile. Yeah, about knowing him more. We are actually playing a little game. You see, he found out who his parents are and he won't tell me. He gave me a week to find out the identity of at least one of them. If I win, I get to learn one of his techniques, and if I lose he gets something he wants. Said Ino. Kurenai nodded, indicating that she's still following her. So what I need from you is information. Do you happen to know who his parents were? I know they were heroes, at least to Naruto. They sacrificed their lives to save Naruto, but that's it. It's not enough to solve the puzzle. Raged Ino. Sorry, can't help you with that. I always thought he was just an orphan who was born at the wrong time. I think Kakashi might know more, if not the whole truth. Wait here, I'll go get him. Said a retreating Kurenai. A few moments later Kakashi walked in with an eye smile on his face. You wanted to talk to me about something, Ino. Said Kakashi. Yes, I was hoping to talk to you about Naruto's parents. Said Ino, surprising Kakashi a bit, not expecting that question. Now, why do you want to know about that? Questioned Kakashi, who turned very serious. Ino proceeded to explain Kakashi about the whole bet with Naruto. Kakashi nodded, liking the answer. He will tell her something, but not much, just enough to help her along. If Naruto thinks she deserves to know the truth, then so be it. Well, actually I do know who they were, but it's not my place to tell you. That is Naruto's choice and not mine. But I can give you some clues to help you along. I smiled Kakashi. Ino was a bit saddened to hear the first part of the answer, but contented herself with minor clues. Well, here goes, pay attention. His father had blonde hair and was born in this village. His mother had red hair and was from a different village and from a prominent clan. Answered Kakashi, who decided to end it there, not wanting to give out too much information. Ino was seen in deep thought, contemplating if she knew anybody that fit that description. She came out empty. It's still a work in progress. I'll ask around a bit or visit the register center to see if there are any Uzumakis in the village. Thought Ino. Ino thanked Kakashi for his help. Kakashi said it was no problem, anything for Naruto's future girlfriend. Ino glared at him for that last remark, a small blush on her cheeks. Kakashi smiled with his one visible eye and went back to the living room. Kurenai returned a bit later wanting to finally finish breakfast. A couple of minutes later, the company could be seen eating breakfast while conversing with each other. If anybody saw them right now they would see a picture of a loving family. They laughed, smiled and just enjoy life. This is what a ninja family looks like. After the meal Ino and Naruto said their goodbyes, while telling Asuma Jr. they would visit him tomorrow again. The blondes could be seen walking towards Yamanaka flower shop. Ino is helping her mom around the shop today and Naruto, the gentleman, escorted her. They stopped in front of the shop's door. "Thanks for the company Naruto and thanks for the help with my training," said Ino thankfully. "Anytime Ino. Listen, I've been meaning to ask you something," said Naruto who was slightly nervous. Ino waited for his answer intrigued what has him so worked up. Would you like to go out tonight, as friends of course? I want to hear all the juicy details about the stuff that's been happening around the village and who better to ask than the gossip queen of Konoha, said Naruto a bit shyly. Ino disregarded that remark about the gossip queen but instead focused on the real matter, the date. Is he asking me out? Thought Ino. Are you asking me on a date Naruto? Asked Ino who was hoping it was. If you want it to be, then yes. I'm asking you on a date, answered a smiling Naruto. I would love to. Who know, I might have some fun. It can't hurt to try, right? Smiled Ino. Great. I'll pick you up at Ino. He gave her a slight peck on the cheek and ran away after that. Ino blushed, loving the feeling of Naruto's lips on her cheeks. She went inside the shop to see her mom behind the counter with a knowing smirk on her face. Ino sighed, knowing what is to come next. This is going to be a long day. And that's a wrap. I decided to end it here. I hope I'm improving with my writing, so please tell me what am I doing wrong so that I can correct in the future. Anyway, see you in a couple of days.